Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I'm Peter, and I'm joined by Matt and Tim. We are going to be talking about Spider-Man, because we talk about movies here, and the new Spider-Man movie came out, of the Homecoming variety.
Yeah, thwip. That's what I was going to say. Peter didn't give me space.
No, because, well, see, I know you're going to say something stupid in your intro, so I brushed on right through it.
I know, you steamroll it, and then we waste more time going back over it. When are you going to learn? Just let me have my fun. It's like when you go grocery shopping, you just give the kid a toy at the beginning, so they don't ask, during, and then they get bored of it. Yeah, just give me the toy at the beginning, and then I'll behave, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. So what is Spider-Man Homecoming? That's the question.
It's a movie.
Yes, it is the 16th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, 16, Matt. That's what we're on now.
I thought you were going to say the 16th Spider-Man movie. I was like, really?
Well, not far off. Really.
Six. This is the 6th Spider-Man movie and the 16th Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And of course, this all feeds in from the MCU. We've seen Spider-Man in Civil War last year. That was his first introduction to this world. We've first seen Tom Holland as the character. And this is I'm hinting things on the desk. And this is his solo movie. Honestly, I think I'm just going to give you a spoiler warning right now, rather than doing a spoiler-free section. I feel like it's Spider-Man. Like who? If you're interested in Spider-Man, you're going to go see the new Spider-Man movie. Am I right? I mean, argue with me if I'm wrong. If you think we should do a spoiler-free section,
no, that's your thing. You warn us, don't spoil things. But I should have known there was something when there was no warning before we started. Like,
why don't we just real quick say if we liked it or not? Just
okay, before spoilers. Fair enough. That's a good idea. Tim,
I loved it.
Matt,
I too enjoyed it.
it was a pleasant experience.
So we talked about this a little bit last week when we covered Baby Driver.
Wait, are we in spoilers now?
Not for Baby Driver.
I need to know.
I haven't seen it yet.
No. Sure, we can go spoilers. I just wanted to point out how me and Pete last week were just kind of like, yeah, Spider-Man's coming, cool. Like we were kind of tempered expectations.
Well, I think out of the 3 Marvel movies coming this year, it was like, yeah, okay, I'm interested to see what they do with a solo Spider-Man movie in this universe. But out of the 3, it was definitely the least on the scale of hype. Partly because Thor had that great trailer. It looks really bright and colourful and fun and poppy, and it looks like a blast. Guardians, of course, we loved the first one, and I mean 2 was pretty good, but like I was not expecting to come out of Spider-Man and go, no, I like that more than Guardians 2, but I did. For a number of reasons.
I started to get excited once the reviews started trickling in, which I didn't read the actual reviews, but just hearing there was a lot of really good positive buzz and good Rotten Tomatoes score. I think that's when I actually started getting excited.
Guys, the critics hate superhero movies.
No, they don't. They actually like good ones. If you go and look at all the reviews of the past few years, all the good ones have good reviews. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah. If anything, I think they're a bit too lenient with a few of them.
Yeah.
They're too. I mean, Batman v Superman is far too high at like 27%. Like that's just far too much.
It's about 25% too much.
Here's why I think that perception was the way it was, at least for me, and Matt as well. But it seems of it, given that it was just last week, we were like, yeah, Spider-Man's next week. Yeah, it should be fun. Like, but we weren't super hyped. I think the reason why that was there is it didn't matter how good it looked or how good it ended up being. It doesn't. None of that changes the fact that it's only been 3 years since the last Spider-Man that was a different version of Spider-Man. I was saying this earlier in the week to someone else on Facebook, I think. Like how much more special this would have felt had we not had those last 2. Had it been 10 years. Because it's been 10 years since Spider-Man 3. Yeah. It's been 10 full years since then. Imagine it had been 10 years, we'd had no Spider-Man, and then we got this one. Like, we would have probably been a lot more pumped to get into it, I think.
Sure.
And I think it's just a bit of fatigue. It's been rebooted already, so we're rebooting it again, and we're going in. But no, maybe that lowers the expectations a little bit and lets you go in and prepare to be wowed. But I also want to point out that, for me personally, I've been a little bit fatigued with Marvel for the last year and a half, 2 years. I came out of Civil War last year going, yeah, that was good, but I'm in no rush to see it again, and I still haven't. I'm going to watch it again before Avengers Infinity War next year, but I've not been on my way
I'm
to see it
watching it
again.
before Black Panther. I got that Black Panther trailer before this one.
Ah, yes.
Hyped.
Is that this year?
Huh?
Huh?
Next year.
Yeah, that's next year.
That's next year, right? Okay.
Is it like February or something?
Yeah, it's weird. They've got 3 next year, but it's like February, May, and July. It's like the back half of the year is just empty for them. But whatever. Nice upset. Yeah, but I've been a little bit fatigued because Civil War there was nothing wrong with Civil War. I just wasn't as into it as I had been with the previous few big movies. And then I didn't like Doctor Strange because I wasn't interested.
Because you love Doctor Strange, we all know.
Oh God.
you love mysticism, and that was the other thing. I'm sitting here watching, back in May, watching Guardians, and like really enjoying it, and then Spider-Man, very much enjoying it. And I thought about Doctor Strange, and I was like, oh yeah, that was a movie I watched.
That was the thing. And here's the thing, like, I like Guardians too. We give it a pretty positive review, but I also had criticisms. I didn't love the villain that much, and which maybe isn't strange for a Marvel movie, admittedly. But I had some critiques, but I had fun. But I didn't think it was as good as the first one. But I thought it was solid, right? But I wasn't screaming about it. I wasn't going, "Oh, that was amazing!" Like, it's changing the face of movies. And this honestly feels really refreshing. Homecoming, I think this is the most I've enjoyed an MCU movie since probably Age of Ultron.
Wow.
So just to put it in perspective. And yes, I liked Age of Ultron. For anyone in the comments ready to go, but Age of Ultron was one of the worst, blah, 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 blah. No, it wasn't.
You all need to get your eyes and ears checked, because Age of Ultron is dope.
Yeah.
I don't love it as much as Pete did, but it is.
It's got its problems.
It's a lot of fun.
Good.
It does have its problems. There's a bit too much stuff in there, don't get me wrong, but I dug it. Anyway, so Homecoming, really fresh, and we'll go into why it's fresh as we go through it. But I like that it felt different, and we'll go into why it's different as we work our way through.
It balances being a teen movie, because it puts Peter in high school, but it also balances being a really good superhero movie that's not an origin story. Like if I had to watch Uncle Ben get it again, I would have thrown something.
Well, I kind of want to just work through this one more or less in chronological order, give or take. Mainly because I want to talk about. Well, this isn't the very opening. We'll talk about the actual opening after this bit. But I want to start with a negative point, because I was worried at the start of the movie, because I really didn't like the camera phone bit. I didn't like that. Because so Peter's like it's basically during Civil War. He was recording his trip to go and help Iron Man fight Captain America, and it's all this phone footage. And I was like, oh, this isn't that funny. I'm not liking this that much.
I
liked it. Go ahead. John.
I didn't think it was bad, but it almost seems like it would have been maybe better as like a little special feature on like a DVD or something.
Yeah, I could see
as
that.
opposed to I don't think it necessarily needed to be part of the movie.
Yeah, I can see that.
I liked it because it gave us it reminds us that Peter's still young, so of course he's going to film everything, but it also the stuff with Happy, like him just showing up, I was surprised. And him being put upon, and this kid in his phone. He's just constantly just like, put that away. What are you doing? And there was a nice little levity.
I mean that stuff was okay in the sense that it was kind of twisting, because obviously we always had the Tony keeps not doing what Happy's wanting him to do. This was kind of like a weird twist on it, where he's trying to tell this kid to do what he's meant to do, and then he's kind of flipping it on his own way without being like the arrogant Stark, but. I don't know. The camera phone stuff didn't really work for me. I did like the actual opening though, which was the right after the Battle of Avengers, Battle of New York, and it's the Chitauri. It's the guy, it's this Michael Keaton and his crew cleaning up the debris, and then Damage Control come in, and they're like, no, we're taking it and whatnot. And this is basically just, this is where they get the idea to steal some of the tech and start building it up for themselves. That said, I suppose probably the biggest nitpick we're going to have of this entire movie. Was during this segment when it comes up on the screen and says 8 years later, and I'm like, wait a minute, Avengers was 2012. What the hell? Yeah. And I can buy that it's maybe 1 year either way, different to what maybe actual timeline is, but Civil War was meant to be like a few years after Avengers, right?
Yeah. And because there's been Cap's been established in Winter Soldier. And then by Civil War, it's that team that was set up after Age of Ultron.
And because the Vulture thing happens before the camera footage, that implies that Civil War was 8 years after Avengers, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't. So
I'm just gonna steamroll that.
It feels
going
like
forward.
It feels like whoever put the caption in just hit the wrong key. Like all you'd have to do to fix this would be change that 8 to a 4 or a 5, and it would work.
Or even a 6. I could buy 6. You know.
Honestly, I did not even think about it at all.
Yeah. My brain started going. No, that was 5 years because I got married Avengers weekend, and I just had the 5th anniversary. So I will never forget how long ago Avengers was.
Because Avengers is important, and your marriage just happened to that helps you remember your anniversary.
There's a reason why we got married that weekend.
So this is great. I'll always remember when Avengers came out. I'll never forget the anniversary.
This is the last movie I saw as a single man.
So it sets up the villain, and he's basically him and his crew to start building weapons out of the alien tech, and that's kind of their thing. He obviously Michael Keaton becomes a Vulture. The guy who's working on stuff, he's the Tinkerer, and then there's the other guy who's the Shocker. Who I will say actually, if I have a genuine complaint about the movie, is that Logan Marshall Green, who plays the first Shocker in the movie, is a really good actor, and they waste him. Like he gets nothing to do.
Well, excuse the pun. I feel like it was for shock value.
Very, very, very good. Nah, I'm not letting that fly. I'm not letting
But
that
yeah,
fly.
I mean, he was dressed like the Shocker. You know, he had the red coat with the yellow sleeves that were diamond, pattern on him. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, they get rid of him real quick, and I like that the comedy that came from that was, oh, that's not the anti-grav gun. Like he was just gonna scare him, and he ended up like vaporizing him.
Yeah, I kind of liked his reaction to that because it was kind of like a surprise, but at the same time, he was like, well, like, I'm not that remorseful about it. I'm just kind of like,
And that's where Keaton. Like, did you guys see The Founder?
No,
Not yet. I really want to though.
Oh, jeez. All right. So he does this really good thing in The Founder where in some scenes you just love him. And you're like, oh, yeah, this dude, he's a hard worker and he's a great idea guy. But then in other scenes you see him screw over people and he's completely remorseless about it. It was like perfectly suited for his turn here as the Vulture because he does the same thing. Like in the scenes with his guys, he's kind of like, oh, yeah, he's the boss. And sure, he shouldn't be selling guns to bad guys, especially when they're like this. But hey, he's feeding his family. So
yeah. So obviously we meet Peter, and it cuts to 3 months later, and he's we get this sense that he really hates doing anything normal now. He likes being Spider-Man so much that he's just like waiting all day for the bell to ring so he can get out of school and go and do his thing. And he goes and he does little things. He helps people cross the street. We see him helping do other things. He does catch some sort of basic criminals. He's doing his things. He's just about Queens. And this kind of starts... And this is something I didn't really notice until it was pointed out kind of later. In the scene in the Washington Monument, where he mentions that, I've never been this high before. And it got me thinking to all this stuff earlier in the movie where, you know what? You're right. Like... And it's almost a bold move, but in this Spider-Man movie, we never actually see him swinging between skyscrapers or anything like that. He never does that. It's all low-key. It really goes with this idea that he is like an amateur. He is just starting, and all the action scenes are all kind of... And I know it's weird to say that the big boat scene's kind of small. I mean, because it's not small per se, but it escalates from a smallish moment. And nothing's like this big grandiose swinging. And that's not that I don't want that. It's just that I actually really appreciate that they decide, no, let's focus in. Let's keep it low key.
Yeah, he's at his skill level, and he's still in his neighborhood.
Yeah,
like he's still in Queens, and he's going about, and he literally is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Like, as Pete said, he's helping old ladies cross the street, and helping people out here and there. He webs the guy to his car because he thinks he's trying to steal it.
And that was really funny. Yeah, and it was his car. Yeah, that was good stuff.
But so he's got a learning curve.
Yeah. I really like that. I feel like a lot of the other Spider-Man movies have, tend to focus on that darker, angsty kind of side of him, and I like that. We really didn't get that at all. Like, I don't even know if they, even like mention Uncle Ben. Like,
They did kind of actually. Since you were bringing it up, Tim, I'll talk about that just now because I actually really appreciated how they handled this. So there's a line early on. It's when Peter's talking to someone about lying to Aunt May. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to like after everything she's went through, I don't want to like put anything else on her." And it's like, "Okay, right, okay, you made your line. It's a bit on the nose, but it was fine. Like you sort of you cover that something happened in the not too distant past, and like she's going through something." But what I really appreciated later on after the boat scene, after all that goes down, he comes home late, and he comes, it's a really funny moment because he comes home in the sort of it's like the gift shop, from the,
Oh, yeah.
he's just wearing these like crappy t-shirt saying "I love New York" or whatever it is, and he comes home and she's like so worried, she's like upset that he's been missing because she saw the news about the whole boat on the TV, she's worried that he was somehow involved, and she's panicking, she is like, Marisa Tomei is doing a good job here. I've been really like looking genuinely scared. And he comes in and she's like, I'm fine. And she's just really worried that she couldn't get a hold of him. And I love that scene because it tells you everything you need to know about what Uncle Ben's death has done to her without them ever actually saying a word about it. It's actually perfect. I really appreciated that scene because I got it through her reaction to him, through her worrying about losing him too because she's already lost someone. I completely got it. And it's like, you've done it. You've done it without wasting time on the scene of him dying. You've done it without having a scene where she's crying about her dead husband. It's not there. It's everything that's needed is in that scene.
Yeah,
and it's perfect.
Yep. Definitely.
So I really respected that.
I was worried they were gonna play up the hot Aunt May thing too.
They do a little bit because the waiter was eyeing her up.
Yeah, they do a little, but it's not like it was in Civil War. Like they.
What? Oh, sorry. One of the things I actually really liked, and not just the Aunt May stuff, but a lot of the jokes in the movie, I feel like they always came close to wearing out their welcome, but I feel like just when they're, about to reach that point when I was like, maybe this is too much, I feel like then they would stop. I think a lot of them like worked for me.
The humor was working great for me. The humor at certain times was doing stuff that was unexpected. There was humor that was darker than I was expecting that really caught me off guard. There was also just some stuff that felt a bit more offbeat. Like there's this running thing throughout the movie where Betty Brant's on the on the so she's a student in high school as well, and she's got this like co-anchor, and they do like the school news program that plays throughout the school on their TVs that they've got in the halls. Which actually, my university had a very similar thing. Actually, it wasn't quite like a news program, but like there would be stuff playing on the screens that was like kind of from the studio. But
we had like a morning announcements thing at my high school.
Yeah, but so I've seen the kind of thing before, but they treat it like a proper news room, and like she's doing her thing and the guys do his thing, and they would have these weird lines where it's just really offbeat humor. At one point, like he asks her out to the homecoming dance, and she just like in the same like news reporter voice turns him down, and it just lingers on his like face as he's like he's not trying to show it, but it's just a soul crushing disappointment of being turned down, and it just really made me laugh because it was this like really offbeat kind of. You really get the feeling that the director of this, John Watts, has a good comic timing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he understands when to cut things off, like you were saying, Tim.
And I think, I think there was actually like quite a bit of like background gags and stuff that I noticed. Like
I'll probably notice a lot more. In fact, Matt, I thought of you as I was watching the movie because there was a gag that made me go, "Oh, I bet Matt's going to cheer when he sees that." And it was when Spider-Man's running through all the backyards. And he's running. He runs past a pool party, and they're watching Ferris Bueller. As Ferris Bueller's doing the exact same thing in that movie.
I leaned over to my wife and go, "That's just like Ferris Bueller." And then boom, the Ferris Bueller scene came on. Yeah. And I was like, "Yes."
I knew. That said, though, the best line in the movie, the biggest laugh, because even though I found a lot of the movie funny, I'm not the sort of guy. If I'm on my own in the theater, I maybe not laugh out loud as much because I'm on my own. It's a bit weird.
Oh no, I do. I need to fill the space.
There's a line in this movie.
Showing human emotions is weird, says Peter.
That's not what I mean. But there was a line in this movie that actually made me like proper laugh out loud for a long time. Like I was in a fit of laughter over it. So Peter and Liz, who's the love interest, and Michelle and Ned and Flash are all part of the debate team or the debate team. Is it the debate team? Is that what it's called?
It's not a debate team. It's like a JV quiz. Like,
quiz team.
Was it?
Trivia
I thought it
thing.
was debate.
It's not debate because they're answering questions. Yeah, so that's not
right,
the name for it. But they're on this team, and they've got the teacher who supervises this, and it takes them to the competitions and the trips. And
Star.
I know him from he's on Party Down. He was in an episode of Parks and
Silicon
Rec.
Valley.
Yeah, I've never seen that, but yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's a comic actor. Anyway, so he there's this bit after the whole thing in Washington. There's a bit of him on the school news program, right? And he's just talking, and he's very deadpan, and he's just like, oh yeah, this would have been horrible. Luckily, everyone made it out safe. You wouldn't want losing a student to be something on a school field trip. And then there was a pause, and I was not prepared for the punchline that came next. I was not even expecting a punchline, and then he just said, not again. And then that was funny enough, but then the camera did that thing you get in documentaries where it zooms into his face and then lingers on his face. It's this dramatic zoom in, and it broke me. I was not expecting a joke about him losing a kid before. I was laughing so much.
Yeah, it does some really funny things with the supporting characters like that, because Hannibal Buress plays the gym coach, and he has some moments like that too, where he just says some offline, and it doesn't really focus on him. But if you're listening or paying attention,
it's good.
Yeah. Like he had like one line where like after they showed one of the Cap videos, and then I think he said something like, "I think this guy's like a war criminal now." Or something.
I'm glad they brought that up because I was about to question why they're showing Captain America videos when in the universe at this time, like he's technically a fugitive. Yeah. So
and it's in a way that only Hannibal Buress can deliver it too, because he's the king of that throwaway line. And we're not going to talk about it again. So yeah, he's like a war criminal or something, and then he puts it on.
Do you know who I thought was very? How do you go, Matt? How do you go?
Well, I was just saying, I like that the running thing is Captain America is still being used in videos to teach kids. Like that's such an old '70s thing, and it's 2017.
I really like that with that first video is kind of subtle, but just like when Captain America like he points to like and like
I like that
to the gym coach, and he's on like the other side.
So that's scripted part of the video, so that Cap can go and here's your gym coach, and he goes over to that. Like, if I was doing it to Tim, say that'd be Tim, but the coach is standing on the wrong side, so it just looks stupid. I'll tell you who else I thought was really funny, and a sort of more quieter way. I thought Zendaya's Michelle was really good. Like I thought her deadpan like throughout the movie where she's just constantly not caring about things. There's a moment which it's when Peter shows up to the dance later on where she just gives him the finger randomly, and it just cracked me up. I'm like, she just gave him the finger for no reason, and obviously let's talk about her character and where that goes, right? So there's a reveal at the end. So the main love interest, Liz, she has some sweet moments with Peter. We'll talk about what that happens to the main plot and the twist that happens, right? But she leaves at the end of the movie, and we find out that Michelle's becoming the captain of the team. She's appointed as captain, and like, oh, Michelle, you can be the captain. And there's a nice little moment where she's like, someone points out, oh wait, we never knew that before, because earlier on in the movie she said she didn't really have any friends,
right?
But she's like, oh no, my friends call me MJ, and obviously it's this little thing where, oh, she's the MJ of this universe. Okay, fun stuff. Now, I like that. I know some people are sticklers here and don't like the whole, oh, we held our identity a secret so we could have the nice little reveal at the end. I'm cool with it. I liked it. It's fine.
I kind of saw it like coming. I don't know if it was like that big of a surprise, but I thought though, like, why not just call her Mary? Like, why?
Well, because that's too much of a giveaway.
Yeah, because you want the reveal at the end.
It just.
But why does it have to be a reveal though? Like who? Like who?
It doesn't
cares?
have to be, but they chose to have that, and honestly, it was kind of a nice moment. It was because I didn't know it was her. Like I wasn't really paying attention to who was cast as who.
I stopped halfway when she wasn't acting like MJ, like that we've seen in other movies or comic book, representation. And I'm not talking about the original Spider-Man movies. I'm talking more like the
comics,
the cartoon, where she acts like the comic version. But I thought it was more his love interest. What was her name?
Liz.
Liz. She was kind of more the Mary Jane type, I thought. So that's where I kind of thought maybe the swerve, there was something to do with that. But
here's what I like about the whole MJ thing here, right? Not so much about the reveal of the name, just her as a character, right? Out of that original Spider-Man trilogy, you know, the Raimi trilogy,
Mhm.
Mary Jane was nothing in those movies but a blank slate who was the love interest, nothing more, and in all three movies was the damsel in distress in the third act. In all three of those movies, the villain kidnaps her, and she's like in danger, like, oh, Spider-Man, save me. That is her in all three of those movies.
Yeah.
In this movie, like, Zendaya in, like, her first scene gave me more of a reason to like her character than I ever had in any of those three movies.
Well, that's the thing. Does she have to be MJ though? Right? Could she just be Michelle?
She doesn't have to be, but like they'll make her MJ, so whatever.
And I think that's where a lot of people that have a problem with it, I think that's where they come from. Is, you know, don't make her MJ, because now there's an expectation there, and if you just make her Michelle, then it's fine. It's kind of like in Star Trek Into Darkness, where it's not Khan, okay, it's Khan.
Yeah.
And
okay, it's not as bad as
like,
that.
well,
That's not.
No. But it was just you're telling us this whole time it's not, and then at the end you're just like, okay.
I think the way I read that though is that it's them saying, okay, our MJ is going to be different. We're not going to do the classic interpretation, and part of the reason for that is they want things to be a little bit different in terms of, like, there was a big deal obviously when this movie was cast. It's a very diverse cast. It's like out of the whole main core group of kids, like Peter is the only white kid. They're all different. And I think that was a big thing they wanted to say, but I think just beyond that, they wanted to have the characters be different and not just be the same. Because let's be honest, like, Mary Jane as a character, like, does she have a lot of depth the way she is in the comics?
Well, what I would say, and not just in terms of her character, but actually a lot of this movie seems to take inspiration from the Ultimate comics, which this Mary Jane reminded me a little bit more of the Ultimate Comics version. Like, it's still not, you know, a 1-to-1 ratio, but I saw more of a resemblance to that.
Yeah, I can see that. I think this was them saying, no, this is what our MJ is going to be, and I do want to say that I feel like she has a personality that I think is immediately kind of likable, and she's funny, and she's like, but I think on top of that, imagine her saying, "Face it, Tiger, you've hit the jackpot." They've given us a character who I buy that line is going to come out of her mouth, and it's not going to sound stupid. I can see her saying that with a smirk, and it working.
You know what? She kind of reminds me of April from Parks and Rec a little bit.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say it.
A little bit of that.
So, like, if April had said it, like, you just hit the jackpot. You know?
Yeah, but deadpan, like, it would totally work. And they've kind of set up
I liked
as well,
her Michelle character, like her drawing and whatnot. She's like, I like to draw people at their saddest, and then she holds up a picture of Peter, and she's like, "That's you."
Yeah, she's really funny. Like, she's extremely likable. So I find it hard to complain that much when I'm liking everything I'm seeing on screen. Like, you know, it's hard to really be that upset with it being somewhat different. When especially, it's not like the previous movies did a great job, because I didn't really like her character in the previous movies, and I know that wasn't an ideal representation of what Mary Jane's supposed to be, but maybe her middle name's Mary. Well, maybe we'll find out she's Michelle Mary Jane Watson.
Or just Michelle Jane. I mean, you know, whatever. Because it says I have the wiki open. Her name's Michelle Jones, and that's where it comes.
Oh, right,
the
okay.
MJ comes from.
Oh, she's not even Jane. Okay. Well,
yeah, exactly. And so that's the whole thing. Is she's not Mary Jane, but she can be the Mary Jane going forward. That's not the big deal. It was just, it felt like someone I don't remember who compared it, but they compared it in Rises to Robin.
It was that ginger awful Connor. And by the way, spoilers for Dark Knight Rises before you say anything else, Matt. Jesus Christ, this is the end of the movie you're going to talk about.
Okay.
What?
What? It's the end of the movie. You can't just talk about the end of another movie without spoiler warnings.
Who hasn't seen Dark Knight Rises?
Some people might not have. It's just being considerate, okay?
I'm just saying, there's a reveal of a character name at the end, and people made a big deal about that, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter. Just, it was a fun little throw-in.
And for the record,
that's what I feel like this one.
I liked that one too, so...
Yeah.
Haters can suck
I think that one's great. Now, in both ways, I feel like it could have been dealt with better, you know, but it's still, I'm not mad that it's there.
Honestly, knowing that our last name isn't even, like, Jane,
Watson.
is like, or Watson, yeah. It's because you said Jones, you confused me. Yeah, but knowing our last name's not even Watson, it's just Michelle Jones. I'm like, alright, well, she's not even really the character, it's just that the MJ thing is basically just them saying, this is who she's going to be for us in our world. Like, we're not going to have Mary Jane. We're going to have this MJ, and she's different.
Yeah, it's a wink and a nod. Like,
Yeah.
I can guarantee you, my wife doesn't care. She liked the character, and that's enough to go forward.
Yeah, I feel that way.
It'd be kind of funny if they did like a Superman thing where like he knows like so many people with like the initials LL, where it's just like
MJ,
there's, like,
MJ,
5
MJ.
characters. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be pretty funny.
Let's talk
I liked her a lot.
about. Let's go into another character that I quite enjoyed, which was Ned. I liked him a lot, and again, it was one of those things where I thought, all right, I'm gonna get sick of like some of his jokes, like the man in the chair stuff. But it always
I have thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right? So I'm a little bit pissed at it, not because I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. I thought it was likeable. I thought it's great Peter has this friend. I'm a little bit pissed because he's basically Genki, which is Miles' best friend, except that he's just not called Genki.
Yeah. It's super weird that he wasn't Genki. I don't know.
Yeah.
And, well,
why,
see,
but
it's not even so much that he's Genki but not called Genki that bothers me. See, if it's just that you've stole Miles' best friend, so when we get Miles... his best friend's already been taken, or if they do give us Genki with Miles, it's like, well, we already had this exact same character with Peter. What's going on?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I've got
Do you
to
think
complain
we'll
about
get
it.
Miles down the road with Tom Holland? You
Hey,
know?
wait a minute here. They clearly hint at Miles in this movie.
Yeah.
They do?
Oh my god, Matt. Oh, you're the worst.
I've never read a Miles comic, so I wouldn't know the reference.
Donald Glover says his nephew... Donald Glover's character is Miles' uncle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. He plays Aaron Davis, who is in the Ultimate Comics was the Prowler, and his nephew is Miles.
Oh, see, I didn't know any of
Miles
that.
Morales officially
I thought
exists.
Donald Glover, the only reason he was there was because there was that whole Donald for Spider-Man thing years ago.
Yeah.
And so they put him in the Spider-Man movie for that, and I kind of expect to see more of him.
I'm sure that's why I'm sure that's why he ended up in it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, his character, that was them saying Miles exists. Now, it might never lead to something, but let's be honest, eventually, in 10 years, Tom Holland might want to leave, and it's like, well, time to bring out Miles.
My thoughts was like, hey, let's have a Tom Holland trilogy and then like a Miles trilogy. I thought that could be like if you really want to milk it and get a lot of movies worth,
I
do something like that.
I can see it being longer than that, though. I can see them wanting to like nab. I feel like they've probably nabbed in Holland for a ridiculously long contract, so they don't have to pay him that much. But it's 10 movies.
From what I read going into this, they want to position him in the next phase as the Iron Man, as the Tony Stark, who kind of stuff revolves around, and he doesn't have to be in the movies. Yeah.
Oh.
But because he's younger, and that means that Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, they don't have to shoulder that stuff anymore.
Oh yeah, those two are so dead at the end of Avengers 4.
Isn't it kind of iffy though about what the future of like Spider-Man and Sony is going to be?
It kind of is, but given that they just made $117 million on their opening weekend, I've got a funny feeling Sony's going to want to keep this partnership going for as long as they can.
Which is better by leagues, right, than the last two that Sony did?
Yeah, it's about 20-something million more than Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it's like Amazing Spider-Man 1 only made about 60-odd million opening weekend.
Yeah.
In fact, the only Spider-Man movie that's got a higher opening weekend, sadly, is Spider-Man 3.
And that's because that hit at that time when it was like all the buzz,
Yeah. But I think what
people didn't know better.
I think what you have here, though, is you have a Spider-Man movie that's in the MCU, which is exciting to a lot of people, but then on top of that, and this is clearly shown to be a factor in this last year, is good reviews leads to good numbers. It just does, which is why all the movie studios are complaining about Rotten Tomatoes and bombing certain movies.
Well, like I guess maybe I'm a little pessimistic or something, but the only thing that makes me nervous is if Sony's just like, if they're too cocky and they're like, oh well, we know how to do it now. We don't need to, keep you guys like we learned what to do, or what I mean. If there's something,
and that's
like
where
that.
If I'm Feige, I hold up your plan for Sinister Six. Movie and how ridiculous that was, and go, just guys, don't Just enjoy making money with us.
This is the thing, though. Avengers is going to make money with or without Spider-Man. I feel like
Yeah.
Spider-Man being associated with Avengers boosts his movies so much right now, especially after those last couple where, the public sentiment's a bit more muted and it's not the mega monster character he once was in that sense because of that. But anyway, we're talking about Ned. And Ned being fun. Ned is a lot of fun. I laughed a lot, actually, later on in the movie when he is being the guy at the computer chair, which I have to criticise almost just a little bit because it kind of felt like, does Spider-Man need that? I feel like because if I have a complaint about the DC shows on the CW, right, is that all of them have that. Even Supergirl has people talking her in her earpiece, telling her what to do, and I'm like, no, that's like a Batman thing, or it's like a Birds of Prey thing with Oracle doing it to like people. But for some reason, superheroes on TV, they all have the person at the computer telling them where to go and what to do. That said, though, it made for fun times. It was a sort of nice reference back to like what's going on with other superheroes, and it made sense for his character. It was just at first I was like, oh, really? We're going to do that with Spider-Man? It worked well though, and then the joke in the school library, I did laugh quite a lot because when the teacher walked in and caught him like on the computer, I actually in my head said, "See, you were watching porn," and then he actually said I was watching porn, and I laughed a lot. So
I loved how he came over to build the Death Star, and he said it was like all these pieces, and it wasn't. Like he'd already built it, waiting for Peter to come back.
Yeah,
like I thought that was pretty funny.
Now, it's kind of funny. You hit on my one complaint about the movie, kind of. So I didn't mind Ned, being in his ear and everything, but I absolutely hated his suit. And when he had Karen, like that really, really bugged me.
You're not the first. Karen. Yeah, you're not the first person I've heard talk about this about how the suit's too high tech. I actually do agree to a point. That said, I actually really like Karen. The Karen stuff was really funny. See when he's in front of Liz and she's like, "Kiss her." Like that was really funny. Like I was kind of into it.
It's not that like it wasn't funny or anything for me. It's just it. To me, that's not Spider-Man.
Oh no, I get you, but I think that's maybe part of the whole lesson, though, is that the final conflict of the movie he does in his own stupid hoodie and like mask. He doesn't have the suit. I do think it's a lot.
I did like that they end up going back to basics.
I do think it's a little bit too high tech. I didn't necessarily like the protocols. I didn't like the insta kill protocol, even though it was just for a joke. I'm like, why is that even there? Why did Tony put that in a suit? Why would that be a protocol?
Yeah, no. Maybe if it's like a big life or death situation that you need it.
But even then, when is that? Unless you're an assassin, when is insta-kill really beneficial in a big event?
You shouldn't want insta-kill.
I did like how it gave us the bridge to see all the different web varieties.
I like those. I like the web grenades and stuff like that. I thought those were fun, and that felt very Spider-Man-y. Because I think one of the big things for me is that at least his web shooters were his own design. That was something that it wasn't Tony. Like, he made the fancy suit with the fancy like eye scanner things and the little nano bot. Well, it's not nano.
And those eyes, we talked about them in Civil War. It's great that they did that because it can make Spider-Man be that much more expressive. Kind of like in the comics where they can play with that.
Well,
versus Tobey Maguire.
When he, sorry, I just remember that scene, like when he falls like into like the backyard with the kids camping, and like his eye is like going all crazy.
Yeah,
it like scares the kids.
And the kids run away screaming. Yeah, so it's a really good scene.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah.
I'll tell you. I've lost my train of thought, hon. Since we're talking about Spider-Man, right, hon. Since we're talking about Spider-Man and him being obviously we're talking about the suit, I want to shift it to the character and just how he's portrayed. Partly because Tom Holland is very good, but here's what I like. Now, I've not watched Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 again since like 2 came out, right? So it's been a while. So I can't. But I watched 1 to 3, the Raimi movies over the last month. Me and Connor did them all.
Don't tell that to Electro on his birthday, please.
And on Influx. And
thanks, Tim.
I want to say, like, I really watching those original 3 movies again. It's actually depressing, the portrayal of Spider-Man. He never quips. He never cracks a joke. Tobey Maguire's always like dour faced. He's always moody, and he looks constipated half the time. It is really annoying to watch. And Now, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a mess. It is a goddamn mess of a movie. Amazing Spider-Man 1 is not as well made as Spider-Man 2, but I think I actually like it more because it's a little bit... Because Emma Stone's really good as Gwen Stacy, and then Garfield's not perfect, but he is closer to Spider-Man because of his quips.
Yeah, he's more of a smart-ass.
Yeah. In this, though, not only did I feel the quips were spot on and felt like Spider-Man, there was that feeling of, like, see when he was, like, struggling, like, when he was running in the backyard and he's trying to catch up to the van to, like, get to the bad guys, the way he kept trying to speak out loud to problem solve, it felt right out of the page of the comics where he's, like, narrating and he's like, oh, I'm trying to, like, get up to the building to stop them, or I'm trying to do this, and he's struggling and he's, like, he can't quite get it done, and he's, you know, he's not doing very well, and that problem solving and him sounding kind of worried about achieving whatever he's trying to do, that felt like Spider-Man to me.
Yeah, well, he's not a working class superhero, right? But he's very, like, he's not Cap and Iron Man, who have it all kind of together and they're polished. He's still, that's how he deals with this stuff.
Yeah,
and you know what was great though is they still like you know, they show him having fun and being funny, but they do still manage to get like serious parts in, like. You know, him saving the deli owner, and then, like, you know, because you save it for a little bit, but, like, the, you know, kind of beginning of the final act of the movie, like, when you find out all the stuff about the Vulture.
We'll save all the Vulture plot for its own part, but yeah, that stuff with the deli where he, like, because he takes on the guys in the bank and he has some fun jokes, and I thought it was amusing how none of the jokes that were in the trailer were in the movie. It was all different jokes, like it was all different lines. But it was a little bit where he mentions that he hasn't met Hulk or Thor yet, and I thought that was a fun little gag because they were in Civil War. But he deals with them, and they have these fancy weapons that they've got off Keaton, and they blow up the deli, and he runs over and he makes sure he's okay, and he saves the cat, and it is a serious moment. But I do like that he does have fun with it, but then there's those serious moments where he goes out of his way, because as much as the insta-kill thing was there for a joke, and as much as I do think it's kind of an odd joke because it feels like why would he even put that there, I do like that when it does come up saying insta-kill, he immediately goes, no, not insta-kill, no, turn that off. Like, he goes out of his way not to hurt anyone, and then later on in the movie when that big boat thing happens and he does screw up, it's his fault, he escalates it when it, because that's kind of ultimately what he learns in that scene, is that he shouldn't escalate things, because he's like, oh, I'm going to go and fight the bad guy, I'm going to track this guy down and kill him, and Stark's already got the FBI there, they're like maybe doing like a sting operation, and they're listening in, and it's all meant to be quiet, and Spider-Man comes in, you know, showboating, and maybe he learns there that he shouldn't do that. But when Tony Stark goes to confront him afterwards, he immediately, the first thing he says is everyone okay? Did anyone get hurt? Like, he cares about that. First off the bat, which is also how Batman thinks, by the way, in case Zack Snyder's listening to this.
No, Batman shoots people.
And what's actually really awesome is this movie, ultimately, it basically is a story about, you know, dealing with power and responsibility, but it's not beating over your head 50 times that, like, oh, Uncle Ben said with great power comes great, you know, like, they don't have to keep rehashing it, but that's ultimately what the story is about. It's
a coming of age story. My favourite thing about this movie, honestly, I mean, we're talking about how, you know, characterization of Spider-Man's really good and all these other things. My favourite thing about this movie is not only is the action kind of low-key and it's not the biggest stuff ever, I like that the villain, the Vulture, he's not trying to take over the world, he's not trying to destroy the city, he's not got these big goals where it's all about vengeance or whatever. It's really simple. He's just wanting to make money and he's selling weapons to do it. And Spider-Man notices that it's happening and he tries to intervene, and that pisses him off, and that's it. It's that simple. And because it's that simple, it felt refreshing to me that there wasn't the giant beam of light in the sky in the third act where the entire world's at stake. Like, I was so happy it wasn't that. It was small, it was low-key, and what the story really was about. Like, Vulture, of course, is the villain for the story to take place, but what the story actually is, it's just him learning how to be a hero. It's him it's a coming-of-age story where the coming-of-age story also happens to include being a superhero, because there's that great moment where because obviously the Marvel logo at the start has like this orchestral version of the old Spider-Man theme playing, which is really cool. I will say the music otherwise is quite forgettable, but there's that moment where
it's a typical Giacchino score. But
that's the thing, Giacchino is usually really good. Like, he's got a lot of great scores, and this one is mostly otherwise kind of forgettable.
He was busy working on Apes. So Apes will be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Apes.
Yeah.
But like, there's that great moment when he goes to confront Vulture towards the end, and like Vulture kind of beats him, and he leaves him under all the rubble, and like there's just and there's this really dark moment where he's pleading for help, like he's actually asking for help because he can't get up, and it's actually kind of dark, and it's actually, oh man. And then he realizes, oh, I think I've got the strength to overcome this, and there's that great moment where he's actually, it's one of those. They're doing the front cover of one of the comic pages, I think.
Yeah.
And he's lifting up the ceiling, and as he's lifting up, a bit of the original Spider-Man theme orchestral comes in, and it's this great moment, and it's ultimately him learning his own strength and him learning his own worth, and what that worth is. It's not just being the same as Tony Stark, which ultimately is his kind of decision at the end, where Tony offers him, oh, you can just be like me, I'll let you do it all now. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I've learned who I am and what my purpose is, and what kind of hero I am. And
well, because you see when Stark confiscates the suit after the ferry, like, and he goes back and he's just like sullen and almost kind of in shock, and I think it's Aunt May that asks him what's wrong, and he says that he lost the internship.
Yeah, because that's the lie. That's the cover up for all the Spider-Man activities.
Yeah, that's just cover up why he's spending so much time after school, not at, doing stuff, but yeah, like it's the fact that, oh no, maybe I'm not a hero, maybe I'm not meant to do this, but then it's when his friends are in trouble. Well, not his friends necessarily. It's he knows what Vulture's up to. He's still doing stuff.
He can't let it go. He has to intervene. He has to do something about it.
Because you see his favorite guy like at the sandwich shop. You see their interaction. And he knows what type of sandwich he likes as soon as he gets out to school, and he goes and saves him, and it's that type of stuff. It's the fact that these weapons are getting into his neighborhood and hurting people. That's what's driving him. It's not necessarily the Vulture doing bad things.
Yeah, and I love, again, going back to this, he doesn't want to kill people, is I love that the final fight, because I do have some problems. I think some of the action scenes are kind of hit and miss, and I think the final plane sequence with him hanging onto the plane and all that, I think that was like a bit, like, it wasn't really easy to follow, it wasn't that exciting because it was kind of murky. Once it ended though, and like he actually went out of his way to try and save Vulture, and actually does. We see him like carrying him out over his shoulders because he's not letting him die. It doesn't matter who he is, he's not going to let him. He was like, oh, this is heroic, this feels like a superhero. And it's good.
Which is the exact kind of opposite of how the first Spider-Man movie ends. Where Goblin takes it a step further and just out of reflex kind of. So I like the fact that it does show Peter as that hero, and then it pays off in the post-credit scene too. Yeah,
it sets up this idea that there's almost a code of honor with him because he doesn't, because he knows who he is and he doesn't let it out. He doesn't tell anyone.
That scene in the car is so tense. Like,
oh yeah.
Now I have to go check out Cop Car, which was the director's first big movie. Yeah. Because it's supposed to be
really good.
Yeah, it's that tension all the way through.
It is really good. So, his first movie, Clown, not so much. Me and Tim did that on Screams After Midnight a while back.
Oh, I didn't realize.
I clicked on that and saw that it was a horror, and I was like, yeah, no, I'll pass.
Honestly,
Cop Car, I definitely will check out.
Honestly, Clown doesn't know if it's a horror movie or a comedy, and that's its problem. Yeah. It jumps back and forth.
Oh man,
without really.
It's not the worst movie.
It's not.
No,
yeah,
it's definitely not like. Yeah.
Okay. But I heard Cop Car is filled with all that tension, and it was clear in that scene where you just see Keaton looking at him through the mirror as he's driving.
Well, yeah, that's
throwing these put the pieces together.
Yeah, if we're on Vulture, let's talk about his progression throughout the movie. Obviously, we talked about some of the setup at the start, and I mean,
his jacket is dope. I need to get one. I think the bomber jacket he wears.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised at how much I liked the way he looked, because I think especially the Spider-Man movies have this problem where they do this kind of robotification of the villains. But this was the first movie I think it actually kind of worked. I really didn't have any problem with the design. I love the jacket. It's very reminiscent of, the comic book character kind of has that whatever feathered collar thing.
It's also very like a pilot jacket. I also like that his mask was kind of like a pilot's mask. In the cockpit of a plane, that's what they'd be wearing.
Yeah, but it still kind of looked like bird eyes and a beak, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they kind of
did this enough in
halfway thing with it.
I was gonna say, Pete. He's a vulture at the beginning too, because he makes his living off of picking up, dead things.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, he's a salvager.
Yeah, well,
so
here's the thing. I don't think he's a super deep character, right? which is why I don't think maybe it would maybe level up to or compare to like say like the Joker, to use the crown example of like a comic book movie villain from Dark Knight, right? Obviously everyone cites him as being like one of the best. I don't think it holds up to that.
Oh, you're not talking about Jared Leto's Joker?
Tim, I will drop kick you in the balls. Shut up. But no, like so.
Yeah. I just saw Pete's automatic kill go on. He wasn't waving it off.
Oh, man's the kill did go on. But like, I probably do like him the most out of either most or second most out of all the MCU villains. Partly because it's the performance, and partly because I feel like they knew how deep he was and they didn't overshoot with him. They kept it simple. Like I said, simplicity was the key here. They didn't try and make him have these big, grandiose plans. And honestly, the twist worked. Not for a second. So Peter gets a date with Liz for the homecoming dance, even though he didn't show up to the debate thing, or not debate, the quiz, the decathlon, or whatever it was called.
I looked it up, academic decathlon.
There you go, academic decathlon. And even though, and that's actually just a small thing I liked as well, is that obviously they set up the idea that's important to her, and he promises he's going to be there and he's going to do a good job, and he doesn't show. And I was kind of dreading, we're going to have to do the scene where he shows up late and she's going to look at him and she's going to be all upset. I liked it. We had the effects of it, but they never went through the cliched reveal of it, the cliched moment. It happened throughout all the action, and at the end it was kind of like she's kind of forgotten about it because they were almost killed, so she was like had her mind on all things. Right. But he still felt the guilt over it because he still knew that he'd let her down, and it worked. I liked it played with that. It didn't always go for the easy dramatic beats that we've seen 100 million times in other movies. Where was I going with that? I was going to something else.
With Vulture.
Yeah, the twist. Yes. So he goes to pick her up at her house, and we've seen her house before because that was where
homecoming.
A party was earlier on.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he rings the doorbell, and the door opens, and there he is, Michael Keaton. That's her dad. Now, obviously, it's a good twist because you assume that her parents are black, right? It's like, oh, her dad's white. Okay, so that's a bit of a misdirect in and of itself, but. It doesn't tease like throughout the movie. Like she mentions she has parents, but you don't think, oh, this is going to be a big reveal later who her parents are. Like you just gloss over
also
it.
We get the Vulture's going about how he's got to go out of town, right? So he's calling his wife and is like, yeah, I got to head down, take care of business, and that's when the party goes off, right? Is when he's gone. He's down in wherever he went.
But it's neat because every time we have him talking about why he needs to do this for his family, you get the impression they're probably not that well off. Like he's just scraping by with these sales, but which is why you don't like. Obviously, Liz has this really nice house. It looks really expensive. You don't imagine whoever's living here is struggling. And you open the door and there he is, and then that from then on though, because Peter knows instantly who it is. There's just tension filled throughout the whole thing, and then obviously the scene in the cars, and as you say, Vulture's putting it together. He's hearing these various things about how Peter's missing for certain things, and then Spider-Man showed up where he was, and he puts it all together. And there's that moment where he just picks up the gun, and he makes Liz go out the car, and he just holds the gun in the front seat, and he can see it. And Peter does kind of get scared, and it works. He's intimidating, so it's good stuff.
I just love like the juxtaposition between like you see Peter is terrified, but then like Liz is like she's busy on her phone like snapping her gum and just being like, oh dad, come on, and then,
she has no idea.
Yeah, because it's very typical protective dad. Like we've seen this in teen movie before, but we know from watching the entire movie like there's another level going on. Like he's subtly threatening Spider-Man too. So. It's just, and she's oblivious to it all because, again, she doesn't know her date's Spider-Man or her dad's the Vulture.
Joe, I think works really well from the whole teen movie aspect of it is that when he goes in and he goes up to her and says, "I need to go," you legitimately feel bad that he's letting her down again, even though you know he has to go.
Yep.
And he has to go be the hero and try and save the day, even though he has to do it with his shitty hoodie. And by the way, I love that he stores secret stuff under the lockers because he's the only one who can pick it up.
Yeah, that is great.
It's a pretty funny little touch. It's a good moment. But no, so it's good stuff. If I have any complaints about the teen movie aspect, is that it's maybe that the movie kind of like shies away from it a little bit more once it gets to that point in the third act. Like, I kind of wish like they somehow integrated maybe the rest of the teens more, because obviously Flash is pretty funny, and he's been a dick to Peter, and Peter like ends up taking his car while he's Spider-Man, and that's kind of amusing. But like, I do like this core group that they've set up for like, the movies going forward. I'm glad the next movie's probably also going to be in high school. We're going to have Flash, Ned, and MJ, and we're going to have this team of characters, and they're all likable, even if they don't all have a super amount of time to like develop their characters per se. Like, I feel like I've gotten enough of all of them that I really want to see more of them.
There was still enough there that you like those characters, even Betty Brant, who, because we get that she kind of doesn't like Peter that much. Like, and every time she looks at him, you can feel it, and that's all kind of you need. You don't need any dialogue or anything.
Yeah, like I say, it goes back to the whole Ben thing. Like, they never said anything about it, other than that one line Peter gave earlier on. But the actual emotion from it came from just the emotion.
So refreshing.
Yeah,
like because we know it's just like everyone knows that Superman is the last survivor of Krypton, and that. Bruce Wayne lost his parents in Crime Alley as a kid, and everyone knows that Uncle Ben died because of a selfish act. And we didn't need it here because it's in the public consciousness. Yeah. So, just do a movie and move on. And it's kind of reminiscent of what they did with Incredible Hulk, where we kind of know the Hulk's origin and they kind of played to it.
Yeah, kind of.
But they just go on and move forward, and we're not going to address it again.
So I do think some of the action's a little bit rough. I do like when he's like hanging on the back of the van, and then the plane sequence at the end. I didn't think it was particularly great. I thought when he's going after the truck though with the vultures trying to steal the stuff, that was okay. The best action scene in the movie though is by far, at least for me, is the Washington Monument stuff. Yeah, mainly because. You really felt the height. Like, see when he's up there and he's like, "Oh, I've never been this high before." You feel how high he is, and it's almost like a Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol when Tom Cruise is on the side of the building. You feel the verticality, and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm getting vertigo! Stop it! Stop it!"
Well, you're worried because Pete's worried. If he was just up there and he's just like, "Oh, this is nothing," then it's kind of like, okay, well, there's none. But the fact that we know the bomb went off and they're barely hanging on.
It's actually really simple. Like you say, he's worried. It's not easy. He's struggling. He's trying to break the window. He can't do it, and he eventually has to do this really fancy thing where he slings over the helicopter into the window.
That's pretty cool.
To get the
momentum.
momentum.
Get the web wings. Like that was.
It's good stuff.
Used there.
Because he uses them briefly later on as well, where he just sort of glides a little bit to land, and it's good stuff. I like how they're working with that. But that action scene was really, really good. Probably the best action moment of the movie. The boat stuff was fine because he had all the fancy webbing. But I'd seen so much of it in the trailers that it almost just kind of washed through me. Like, it didn't really matter at that point. But no, so that stuff was really good. So ultimately, the arc with him and Tony, right? Let's talk about Peter's journey, where he's desperate to be an Avenger. He wants to be on the team, and at the end of the movie, Tony come in, new Avengers building, come and live with us. You're going to be living next door to Vision, kind of thing. Which
he doesn't respect boundaries because he doesn't understand walls, but you'll get used to it. Like I thought that was that's Downey Jr. doing what he does, and just
but he gets shown this new outfit, this Iron Spider outfit, which looked atrocious, and Peter quite rightly says, "No, I don't want that." So that's good. But he's basically offered this thing. He's like, "Oh, we've got presser here. We're going to make this announcement. You're going to be a new Avenger," and blah 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 blah. And Pepper comes out afterwards. Obviously, it's a nice little joke where we have a little hint that they're kind of back together, and that he might propose to her to make an excuse for having the press there, which is amusing. It does make me retroactively wish they never did the whole we broke up, by the way, in Civil War, because it feels like they've rubber banded.
See, I don't mind that because that's. Their relationship that I've seen through the Iron Man movies is Tony messes up and then goes and apologizes. So us in Civil War seeing that is in one of the times he hasn't had time to make it back up.
Well, here's what gets me though is that I feel the real world element where the reason why they broke up in Civil War is because they couldn't get Gwyneth Paltrow. They could get Gwyneth Paltrow for a scene in this. That's why they're back together. That is the only reason. Like, as much as your justification kind of works, I can just see the reasoning for it, and it kind of clouds it a little bit. But so he's given this choice, and he's like, you know what? No, I'm not done growing up yet. I've got more to learn, and I want to be the neighborhood Spider-Man for a while. And he has this arc throughout the movie where he learns he has to be there for his friends. He has to be for all this stuff. But he was basically like missing his like teenage part of his life because he was ignoring it and just being Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was so focused on his future, he wasn't living in the present.
Yeah.
And that's like that's like Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl as well, right? He was so focused on his future, he didn't live in the now. And that was the message of that movie. So it's a coming of age thing, and they pull it off really well.
Yeah, he actually, and it goes back to like, you know, when Tony criticizes him earlier on, and Peter says, "Oh, but you did this." He's like, "Yeah, but I wanted you to be better." And at the end of the movie, he does decide to be better, to the point where it's better than Tony could have hoped for. Because then Tony, because obviously Tony pretends, "Oh yeah, it was just a test. There's no press," and then that's when we find out there actually is press, and Tony was going to go through with all this. And it's almost like not only is he better, he's better than Tony could have even have imagined, because he is better than Tony. Because Tony could even comprehend that he would make that choice. And I like that.
So the place upstate that they've moved to, is that supposed to be Avengers Mansion now? Like, is that?
Well, that doesn't look like a mansion, but sure.
No, but like, yeah, because Stark Tower. Because when we first get with Tony, he's on the West Coast, and then it's in Avengers. He had moved to. We see him putting the finishing touches on Stark Tower, right? Mm-hmm. So now that someone else has bought it, and we don't know, and speculation, whatever. I just kind of got the feeling like when Hogan's like, "Oh yeah, we're moving upstate," I kind of thought that like, "Oh, it's gonna be the Avengers Mansion."
I don't know. It could be Osborn who's bought it. It could be, I don't know, Kingpin maybe. Well, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I don't. Not that I don't care who buys it. You know what I mean?
I was just saying, like, it's a tidbit there to chew on, so we can chew it a little bit. But so we're just about done. Obviously, there's a couple of things we've glossed over. Obviously, the ending. He gets his suit back. His proper suit, not the stupid Iron Spider thing. Where Tony's like dropped off. He's like, yeah, like you've proved that you're better. Blah 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 blah. You get keep your suit. And we have the final cliffhanger moment where Aunt May walks in and sees him standing in the suit and says, "What the?" And then it cuts to the credits. That was a really funny ending. I appreciated that. I appreciate that we're going to go into the second movie with her knowing. I have seen some debate online that technically he didn't turn around yet, so he might be able to wriggle his way out of it. I will be pissed if they pull that shit. And it's like, oh no, he puts the mask on quickly, and he's like, oh no, I'm visiting your nephew Peter. It's not really me. Like, if they pull that shit, I'll be pissed. No, just have her know. Let that be the dynamic. That could be fun.
You know what would be awesome though is if the movie just started with her saying "uck."
Yeah,
that would be pretty good actually. That would be quite good.
Yeah, I like the idea of Aunt May knowing, so she's not out there worrying. Because that could be the nicest thing Peter could do is like, hey, look, I have this calling, I have to do it. I'll try to be safe, but I can't have you being worried sick all the time. So, that would, be pretty solid of him.
I think her knowing and him knowing she knows is a more interesting dynamic for the next movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, post-credit scenes, we had the one in the middle that sets up Scorpion, who we've seen briefly in the middle of the movie, played by Michael Mondo, who's natural from Better Call Saul, who I like a lot. I was actually complaining in my head, like, after he's seen in the middle of the movie, I was like, that's all you did with him? He's a great actor. Why is that only just that? But then they set him up for more stuff at the end, so hopefully we get...
Yeah, Matt Gargan. I heard the Matt Gargan name. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, because we're going to get Scorpion. And then, later, if we introduce Venom, he is my favorite Venom, just because he's so nuts and he eats people. Like, I'd like to see that. Because you get his vibe in that post-credit scene. Like, he is a violent criminal. Like,
he's ready to kill fools. And then obviously the very end post-credit scene is just a wink at the camera where Cap's doing one of his training videos and he's talking about patience and how even if it doesn't pay off and you're disappointed by what you waited for, you waited and that's what's important. That was along those lines. There was a good chuckle throughout the audience as they realised it was just kind of a, haha, you waited to the end and it's just a stupid thing.
Yeah, which I like. I like them doing that because it's... other movies people get up but Marvel movies, they have us trained to stick around. So the fact that nobody moved, it was pretty funny.
And also, I thought the end credits were pretty entertaining. Like all the weird Art Deco kind of thing they were going for. I thought it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, like the cut and paste kind of art of scenes from the movie. That was pretty cool too. Yeah, my wife huge Captain America fan, so she was stoked
Nice.
that she gets to see Chris Evans in Spider-Man.
But no, I solid throughout. I like pretty much all the cast. I don't think there was like a sour note for me in terms of the casting. If I was going to complain about anything, honestly, it's just that it's things that's not really the movie's fault. But it's kind of like, because it's the second reboot, it's the third time we've done Spider-Man. Now, because it was fresh and it felt like this teen movie, it felt more lower key. I felt like they focused on smaller ideas. I loved all that stuff, so I loved the movie. But it is kind of a shame that there's certain elements of Spider-Man that they have to shy away from because they feel like, oh, they've done that already, so we can't. Like, there's not even a mention of the Daily Bugle in this, or J. Jonah Jameson, and it feels like, oh, it's because it was done so. That was like the one thing that was perfect in those original movies. Like, we don't want to do it. And I know he's still in high school, but I feel like most Spider-Man comics, even when it's set like him as a teenager, there'll still be scenes at the Bugle reacting to like the villains or something like that. Like, there's always a part of the world, and it just kind of feels like to me that it's not there because, oh, we want to avoid it because they've already done it. Like, which is probably why we're never going to see Goblin, because they've done Goblin in both the previous versions.
Now, do you think we'd get Osborn just as Osborn, like in the next one?
I don't know. I would
Possibly.
honestly. I'm not going to say never, but if you were asking me to like guess right now, I'd say no.
Okay. It'd be cool, just even
that.
in reference. Like, we don't have to get an actor to play him, but they just kind of reference.
Oh, I can see that.
You know.
I feel like,
cool.
unlike say Lex Luthor, who you can keep bringing back, and like the Joker, because they are like the arch nemesis of the characters. And Osborn is kind of like that to Spider-Man, but I feel like because we had them in the last two versions, and because the last one in particular didn't work out very well.
That was terrible. That was terrible.
The first one's not aged particularly well either. If you go back and watch that first Spider-Man movie, he feels like a cheap Power Rangers villain with a stupid plastic mask. It does not. It's not aged well, so I can see them just shying away from it because they've got a lot of villains they can use anyway.
For sure.
They use Vulture. They could do a proper Venom at some point. Well, they're doing a Venom movie, so we'll see if that ties in.
People keep saying Mysterio, who we haven't seen, and I'd like to see how they make him look cool.
Yeah, I'd like Mysterio.
Because that fishbowl helmet, there's no way that works on the big screen, so I want to see how they would get around that.
Nah, that'd work.
Like, normally that would make me, like, kind of mad, like, being like, oh, well, now they're going to have to use, like, you know, these smaller characters, but stretch them out to make, like, you know, big epic movies. But after seeing this, like, what they were able to do with, like, Vulture, which is a pretty, like, you know, C-list villain, but, you know, able actually...
Hey, he's in the Sinister Six. Like,
I don't know.
He's a low-ranking member, though, man.
There's no, or at least from what I have read, like, I can't really pinpoint any classic Vulture stories or anything, you know.
No. Craven, though.
Oh, Craven.
I can see Craven.
Yeah.
I can see Craven. I think
you don't even have to do Last Hunt. Like, just introduce him as like reality TV star.
Well, I think it's worth mentioning how well they handled like having a couple of sub-villains in this, because we had kind of the Tinker and the Shocker without them going.
Yeah.
And they didn't really feel shortchanged. They didn't feel like, oh, they tried to shoehorn too many villains. It didn't feel like that at all. It just felt like, no, they worked them into the plot as part of the Vulture's own arc.
King.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it worked. I guess to sort of wrap up and head towards scores, I really liked this movie. I was surprised by how much I was into it. I feel like it nailed Spider-Man in a lot of ways. Yeah, a bit too much tech in the suit. A couple of the action scenes were a bit hard to follow and weren't that exciting in and of themselves. But otherwise, it was pretty great. And I think easily the best Spider-Man movie in terms of actually getting the character right, in terms of feeling, because I think you could argue the action scenes are better than Spider-Man 2, because they are. Like, that train sequence is fantastic. Like, you go back and watch that, it's great stuff. But this is a better Spider-Man film, definitely. And it's got a unique voice. It feels like it stands out in the MCU because it is a teen movie. Whereas a lot of the other ones, because even as much as I'm looking forward to Thor Ragnarok, it does kind of feel like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy's kind of infected it a little bit, and it feels more towards that. And, you know, some of the other stuff feel a little bit formulaic. And while the formula was here in terms of going after the villain, it was different because it was lower key, and it wasn't always trying to end the world and we have to deal with that. It put characters first, and I appreciate that. So, would you like to do some ratings then, fellas?
Sure.
Sure.
Out of 10. Matt, your mic is going, so I'll go to Tim first as Matt corrects his mic. Matt, Tim, rather, what would you like to give Spider-Man Homecoming out of 10?
It's hard because I'm thinking about either a 9 or 9.5. I don't know if I want to go that high yet. I might maybe need another viewing. So for right now, I'll give it a solid 9.
Okay, Matt?
8.5. I think that's where it's at.
Yeah, Matt and me on the same wavelength. I'm also going to go with an 8.5.
Jeez. 9.
What?
Yeah.
What? Why?
No. 8.5. Well, because I always like to rate higher than you. Just, But no, 8.5. That's fair.
You didn't say that when we did the Neon Demon.
No, because it's not a movie I'm scoring because I'm never seeing it.
And I should also point out too, in terms of superheroes, like Spider-Man is my second favorite. So I'm a like really really big Spider-Man fan. Like, growing up, like it was kind of some of the first like comic stuff I got into before I started reading comics was like the Spider-Man cartoon show and like the Sega Genesis games and stuff. So Spider-Man's always held a pretty big place in my heart. So that was another thing that got me really excited and partly why I maybe might rate it like a little higher. But.
So you're counting Hellboy as a superhero?
Not really.
Okay. So who's your number one then?
Yeah.
Daredevil.
Okay.
I absolutely love Daredevil, especially like in terms of comic books. Like, most of my favorite superhero stuff is Daredevil.
Cool.
To be like, it's like Daredevil, Spider-Man, and then I always go back and forth if I like Superman or Batman better. But
oh, don't say that, Matt.
Yeah,
that's fine. Tim can be wrong. It's fine.
Cool. I like Spider-Man a lot. Spider-Man is definitely my favorite Marvel superhero. I'm more of a DC guy, so I've got a few DC characters ranking above him. But Spider-Man is my favorite of the Marvel batch. And it was great to actually really kind of unequivocally, because I feel like Spider-Man 2 is a really good movie, but it's really bad at the characters. So it feels very mixed from that point of view. And then Amazing Spider-Man, I think, gets the characters a bit more right, but it's a bit more, a bit more slapdash of a movie. Whereas this, I feel like, feels a bit more. Obviously, I'm not even talking about the other ones, because Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 are both complete messes for different reasons. Whereas this, it feels like, I don't even have to make apologies. Yeah, there's a couple of nitpicks, there's a couple of things that I would maybe fix or do slightly differently. But for the most part, I can say no. It was a solid movie. It was focused. It was well thought out. It put characters first, and I have. That's my piece. I've said it. It was good. Yeah. So there we go. That's Spider-Man: Homecoming. I tell you what, Thor Ragnarok's got a real job ahead of it if it wants to top this.
I am completely and totally biased. So that's man. I'm so excited for that.
I know you are. I'm looking forward to it, but I feel like I'm quite impressed with this one. So I will be impressed if Ragnarok can actually top it for me. Not that it has to. It could be really really good and still not top it, and that's okay. But there you go. So that is the second of 3 Marvel movies this year. We had one DC movie so far. We got another one coming up. The DC movie ended up being really good actually. Justice League, on the other hand, I'm not feeling so optimistic about. But we'll see.
I just tasted breakfast again.
I tell you what gets me is because I got the trailer again when I saw this, and there's a moment in the trailer where Aquaman's on top of the Batmobile. And he's about to jump. It's towards the end of the trailer, and Batman's driving along, and Aquaman does a big jump to land in a parademon. And the entire time, all I could think was how shit the whole thing looked, because the background was just this really dark CG, it was a burning building or something like that. But it's really dark. Everything just looks like a green screen. I hate how Zack Snyder movies look. I hate it with a passion. It
feels so fake. A Zack Snyder movie. That's what was great about Wonder Woman. And go check out a review of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it was good.
Because it didn't look like that.
It didn't. No.
It was fun to watch.
It was a little desaturated, which I would have maybe toned back a little bit, but it didn't look like a Zack Snyder movie. So But no, here we go. So that's Spider-Man. Thank you for watching us for the last hour plus. We appreciate it. Let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments below. Did you like various things about it? Did you dislike various things about it? So on. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates and all that kind of thing. If you want to support the channel and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. There's a lot of bonuses over there. It's ones that specifically relate to the movies and goals as well. But head over there, check that stuff out. But that's us, guys. So once again, thank you very much for watching. Keep watching movies. We'll see you next time for War for the Planet of the Apes on 1.21 Gigawatts. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.